It's Ricky Rich with Black Primacy with a quick question. Have you downloaded the Black Primacy app yet? If you haven't, don't worry about it. I just wanted to remind you that it is the number one way to find Black owned businesses near you. Whether you're looking for food, fashion, or services, we've got you covered on this app. So download it now and start supporting Black owned businesses in your area today. All right. Link in the description.
Two families dealing with the same problem involving their large luxury homes. They believe their houses in Prince George's County fell short when appraised by certified appraisers. Some suggest the shortfall is the result of the market. These families, however, call it blatant discrimination.
How is it that the wood and the walls and the nails, right, that were used, how are they worth less than what they cost us? When in neighboring counties, we're seeing that the exact same builder building the exact same size and type of home is worth twice as much as what our home costs to build.
Every realtor said, we don't know that your house will sell for that price because it's not going to appraise for that in Prince George's County. Houses in Prince George's County don't appraise for over $1 million, and they definitely don't sell.
The two families say this isn't a coincidence, it's a trend where homes in predominantly Black neighborhoods are valued differently. Jacqueline Priestley and her husband built their dream home in Bowie last April.
We wanted more space and, multi-generational living with, mom and my stepdad living with us too. We looked in other counties in Maryland and then decided to stay in Prince George's County because we recognized the fact that you can't put a price tag on community.
But community would come at a cost. After building their nearly 9,000 square foot home from the ground up, they needed financing, so an appraisal was ordered. When appraisers tour a home, they look at and consider the overall condition of the property, square footage, upgrades, and location. The first appraisal came back at $1.2 million. Priestley and her husband pushed back, alleging certain features in the house were not considered. Another appraisal was ordered. The second appraisal would come back at $1.3 million, but it still fell short of their total construction costs of nearly $1.8 million, leaving them in the red nearly $500,000.
For as much as we're not gaining financially in choosing Prince George's County, we are gaining exponentially in terms of that true community experience that is hard and rare to find.
But Rashunda Ingram Harvey and her husband Derek don't see it that way.
Just don't buy in Prince George's County. I mean, at the end of the day, this is historical. This is not something that just started. This is something that's been going on.
Gearing up for a move to Texas, the two put their 5-bedroom Upper Marlboro home on the market earlier this year. They listed it for $1.25 million and received an offer above the list price. The house appraised at $1.19 million, lower than the nearly $1.3 million sales price. The realtor tried stepping in.
How often do African American people buy $1 million homes? And in an area like that where, they look at Prince George's County as an area that's made for Black people.
These stories reflect a known problem. A 2018 report from the Brookings Institute showed that owner-occupied homes in Black neighborhoods are undervalued by about $48,000 on average. That average remained consistent when we examined their data for the Washington Metro. And when you consider the losses nationwide, the Brookings Institute says it amounts to about $156 billion in cumulative losses. Researchers point to bias in the home buying process for contributing to the disparity, pointing out appraisals as an important role. An analysis by real estate brokerage Redfin said appraisals can be problematic because they can perpetuate the cycle of racism by assigning lower values to homes in Black neighborhoods than white neighborhoods. Dr. Daryl Fairweather is Redfin's chief economist.
I think appraisals are an important modern day factor because appraisers have a lot of power. They come in and they say what the home is worth, what the bank is willing to lend against the home, and they may do their best to be as objective as possible, but ultimately those appraisals are subjective because it's an individual making them and putting their own view onto how to interpret all the factors that go into what makes a home valuable.
The allegations of appraisal bias are so strong it even attracted the attention of the Prince George's County Association of Realtors, who earlier this year sent a survey to its more than 3,000 members looking for specific examples of appraisal bias. We're told about less than 500 surveys have been returned and the results from that survey are pending. But while homeowners complain of appraisal bias, few are filing complaints. The Maryland Commission of Real Estate Appraisers, Appraisal Management Companies, and Home Inspectors tells us on average they receive about 5 complaints a month. And when we ask specifically about complaints filed in Prince George's County about the devaluation of their homes, officials tell us they weren't aware of an influx of complaints. Priestley and Harvey said they did not file formal complaints because they had no idea the commission existed. But Priestley hopes educating others will save time and money. She and a group of community leaders formed the group Fair and Unbiased Appraisal Advocates. They even launched the website blackhomesmatter.org.
Until we bring this conversation to the forefront, to one that homeowners know to be their own advocates and to be aware of this, and to the conscience of appraisers and banks, we've got a lot of work to do.
The new group has already begun to generate buzz as it works to stomp out bias, something Rashunda and Derek say they worry less about now living in Texas, building a new $1 million home in a neighborhood with no known issues of appraisal bias.
We wish things had been different in Maryland, because at the end of the day, you spend $1 million on something, you want your money to go to the right place. You want to know that your purchase is valued and that you can make your money back. And it just wasn't something that we could do there.
I'd be pounding the table. I'd be grabbing my realtor by the necktie and say, what is this? How could a home that I built or maintained be appraised at less than what I put into building it?
After seeing our WUSA 9 investigation detailing allegations of biased home appraisals in Prince George's County, Maryland Democratic candidate for governor and the state's comptroller, Peter Francho, says his campaign is requesting Maryland's Commission of Real Estate Appraisers, Appraisal Management Companies, and Home Inspectors provide a detailed report outlining the average appraisal value of Black-owned and occupied homes in Prince George's County. They're also requesting home value reports for Montgomery, Howard, and Fairfax County as well.
Other parts of the state, equal homes are selling for a lot more. So let's get real, Maryland, and let's do something to address this issue.
Francho says a letter will also be sent to the state's attorney general about the issue. A 2018 report from the Brookings Institute showed that owner-occupied homes in Black neighborhoods are undervalued by about $48,000 on average. That average remained consistent when we examined their data for the Washington Metro. And when you consider the losses nationwide, the Brookings Institute says it amounts to about $156 billion in cumulative losses.
In your capacity as comptroller, had you heard of this issue before? Has this been brought up to you at any other time?
Only in passing has it. But you guys really, nailed it as far as your reporting. And it is out there.
The two families we profiled say they've lost anywhere between $60,000 to upwards of $500,000 because of lower than expected appraisals. Despite the losses, they continue to get the word out, sharing their stories and even launching the website blackhomesmatter.org.
Until we bring this conversation to the forefront, to one that homeowners know to be their own advocates and to be aware of this, and to the conscience of appraisers and banks, we've got a lot of work to do.
We're still waiting on a report from the Prince George's County Association of Realtors. They, too, were looking into claims of appraisal bias. We were told that report would be available in either September or October, but they tell me that they're still analyzing that data. Larry Miller, WUSA 9.
In a WUSA 9 exclusive, we share the stories of two families who claim they've lost thousands of dollars because they are victims of appraisal bias. They say their homes were valued differently because they're Black and live in a majority Black neighborhood. Well, after our story aired, we heard from more families who are sharing similar experiences. And tonight, a bit of a twist. We hear from a white family who lives in a majority Black neighborhood. They're detailing an appraisal experience that they call, quote, suspicious. Here's WUSA 9's Larry Miller with a continuation of our series appraising Prince George's County.
I'm an older person, so throughout history they always said, communities that are primarily Black are lower value, and I don't believe that. It is something that is very concerning because the house is the house. And it should be valued at what it should be valued at, regardless of who lives in it. So we added this deck and that patio.
We're not sharing this man's name, nor are we showing his face. He's asked us not to because of his line of work. And for the purposes of our report, we'll call him Jim.
That's a sign that something's wrong.
But even with Jim's identity concealed, he said he couldn't hold back his story after hearing his former neighbors, Rashunda Ingram Harvey and her husband Derek, detail their alleged encounter of appraisal bias.
We lost about $60,000.
Jim's story begins in 2012. That's when he says he bought this 5-bedroom home in Prince George's Marlboro Ridge community, known for its amenities and on-site equestrian center. It's a majority black, high-end neighborhood. He's one of the few white families who live there.
I mean, I love this neighborhood. I love all my neighbors here.
He paid about $820,000 for the house. It was this past summer when the house had to be appraised again.
In June, July, we applied for to do a HELOC loan, and so we had the house appraised for that.
HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. It's a loan where homeowners can borrow against the equity they've accumulated in their houses.
We filled out all the paperwork with the credit union, and they ordered the appraisal be done. They said it would be a drive-by appraisal, didn't cost us anything. And an appraiser came by, drove by the house, took pictures, and then did an appraisal report.
A few weeks later, the appraisal report came back.
When I saw it, I saw that it was pretty low.
The report said that the house was worth $785,000, more than $35,000 less than what it cost them to buy 9 years ago.
I said, this is wrong, and so they ordered a full appraisal that I paid over $500 for. The appraisal company came out, they did a walkthrough, they took measurements, there's 2 guys, and they walked around the house, they annotated everything we've added to the house.
The walkthrough appraisal came back at $920,000, $135,000 more than the first appraisal.
It amazed me.
We took Jim's case to real estate appraiser Jennifer Gossman for an outside opinion. She has 15 years of experience and is an expert in DC real estate. She holds a license in Maryland too. We want to be absolutely clear. She wasn't involved in Jim's appraisal, hasn't seen Jim's home, and is only assessing the documentation provided. And she's not providing a value opinion as well. But looking at the documents, she says a few things catch her eye.
So they did a limited scope, which is even smaller scope than a drive-by. If you read that report, the appraiser was thoughtful that the overall neighborhood values for the last 12 months was $750, something like that. I did my own research, and that's correct. If you just do a 1 mile radius of his home for the last 12 months, I picked a size of over 3,500 square feet, even though his house is 5,100 square feet. The median value is $750.
She also noticed something about the comps, or what's known as the comparable homes, which are used to justify the value of a house.
However, the comparables that are on that appraisal report, every single one of them was from 2020, and the effective date was a 2021 date, so all of the comps are older, and all of them are over 2.5 miles to up to 4.5 miles away. I don't think that's a great report, but it's a limited scope appraisal. I don't think that product is necessarily a great product.
Gossman says when determining a home's value, she prefers to use recent comparables within months or at least the same year as the home that's being appraised. And she prefers to find those comparables within 1/3 of a mile of the appraised home. She says the closer the comparable, the better the value analysis. She also recommends getting a full appraisal where appraisers go inside and inspect your home up close. The differences were evident in Jim's case.
The person came into his house, all of those comparables, and this is important, are from 2021, and they are all within half a mile from his home. Those are the comps of his house. They are all also over 5,000 square feet in size, and his appraisal value is $920, because that's the report that is correct.
Gossman says while some might argue issues like this are a form of appraisal bias, she suggests other factors are at play. Often homeowners may not understand what other similar homes in the neighborhood are selling for, or may think certain upgrades add value to a house when in fact they don't. Gossman says appraisal bias is difficult given how appraisers are regulated.
Appraisal reports are governed by Congress and the appraisal board and the appraisal subcommittee, and we certify that our appraisals are unbiased with race, creed, religion, age, marital status, color, sex, neighborhood boundaries. So while I am sure that there are bad people that exist in the world that want to do a mean thing to some person, I can't imagine that this could stand to exist.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out the other content that we have on this channel. But before you go, I wanted to remind you again not to forget to check out the Black Primacy app. It is the best way to connect with Black-owned businesses near you. They need your support. We need your support. Link in the description.